Well, today we're going to make a pen blank, what I'm going to call a tri-color blank. It's just because I don't know what else to call it, and here's what it's going to look like. It's going to have 2 strips of maple, and then a strip of black. I put ebony, but it's actually going to be black alumalite, and then some red heart. So essentially what it's going to be is 2 pieces of maple, and then we'll glue those 2 together, and the blank is going to look something like this. And then the pen that we're going to make, we'll cut off 1/4 inch sections, and as we make them, each section will turn 90 degrees, so it gets some kind of a stepped herringbone type pattern. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but let's stay tuned. But first of all, first thing I did was cut 4 pieces, 2 pieces of maple. These are a little over 3/8 by 3/8. Yeah, they're 7/16 by 7/16 square, and 1 piece of red heart and 1 piece of black alumalite, about the same. So now we will glue up those 2 and glue up those 2, and then we will glue them up together like that. Stay tuned. Alright, to glue our first 2 up, I'm going to use CA glue for this. We will see how that happens. I'm not going to use any accelerator. I'm just going to let it cure on its own.
So I'm going to clamp for a second here.
And we'll let that dry while we glue up these 2. And we'll just let those dry naturally for a while before we glue them back up together. Okay, I've got them out of the clamps, but before we glue these 2 together, I'm going to take the surface that we're going to join like this, and I'm going to, on this flat table, I'm going to run them a little bit of sandpaper, try to get them as smooth as possible. Alright, we're ready to glue these 2 together. And then we'll just let that dry naturally. Alright, we got the blank out of the clamps, and it glued up kind of nice. Give us our tricolor that we're after. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this pen tube. It's from the Laserline Liberty kit, and I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill this to, I think it's 27/64. And then we're going to cut off 1/4 inch sections. Okay, I've got a centering bit in my lathe. I'm going to drill this on the lathe. First off, I'm going to get a good starter hole. Now we have the drill bit in. I'll be cooling this with denatured alcohol. Keeps the bit cool, flashes off. Plus I can squirt it in the hole and dissipate heat in there. And it'll flash off in there. I don't want to use water with the wood. Right straight through the middle. Have a stop block set up at 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to cut 1/4 inch slices. Before we assemble it, I'm going to just rub them on a piece of sandpaper a couple of times. Make sure all the burrs are off the edges. We don't want anything to hold them back. Show you how we're going to glue this up. We'll glue the first one in, and then when we put the second one on, we're going to turn it where that corner meets that intersection. Third one will be the same way. Fourth one will be the same way. You see it'll just spiral on around. That's how we'll glue it together. Alright, we'll see if we can do this without gluing my fingers together. There's CA on the first one. Okay. Alright, we're flush there. Now, we'll just add and rotate. Put it on and rotate it 90 degrees. Once I get it complete, I'm going to douse it with thin CA. Now I'm going to come back and just coat it with thin CA on all 4 sides. Now we'll let that blank dry naturally. Okay, I'm going to square the blank up using my squaring method. I'm not going to show it all. Put a link up in the corner on how I square my pen blanks. See the brass tube there? See our brass tube there, so we're flush. Because this pin blank is so irregular in shape, I'm afraid I'm going to hang my skew on it, my roughing gouge on it when I turn it. So I'm going to try to get some of these rough corners off. Got the bushings on the end, in the ends of it. I'm going to try trimming it up here on the bandsaw a little bit. That's a lot better. I think we can turn that now without catching a rough and gouge or a skew on it. As y'all know, I turn between centers most of the time. One thing nice about these laser line kits is the bushings they provide. They're already got a 60-degree bevel on the inside of the bushing, so it sits on the headstock and tailstock real nice. I am starting out with a freshly sharpened roughing gouge, and I'm going to take real thin cuts to start with till I get past all these rough edges. Okay, I've got to be careful. I felt it trying to grab, probably in these areas, so I've got to go even lighter. We're almost out of danger. Just add a little bit more before I can really get heavy with it. Okay, we're round. Now we can turn it down to the bushings without really worrying about it. Okay guys, I ran into a small problem. I've got one spot on this blank where I didn't get a real tight joint. See it right here? You can see the tube under it. What I'm going to do is I've got this black mica powder that I use when I cast black pen blanks sometimes. I'm going to put some black mica powder in there and then cover it with some CA and see if we can hide that little brass look. Don't know if I can do it on camera because the camera's kind of in the way, but I'll come back to you. Hey everybody, before we finish, let me say thanks for tuning in. Like our video, share our video. If you haven't subscribed, do so. It helps us a lot. And there'll be a subscribe button up in this corner, I think, and also one down below. I wasn't able to rescue that blank where you could see that tube where the pieces weren't cut exactly right, but I think I've got a fix for it. It's going to take a little operation. That'll be in another video. Be watching for that. That blank was made for a Liberty pin kit by Laser Lines, and I really wanted that blank to be on that stainless steel kit. But what I did do is I made another blank for another pin kit. Same process as you just saw. I just duplicated it and I made it for an Artisan Arrow pin kit by Woodturner's Catalog or Craft Supply. Let me give you a look at it here. Now I'm going to give you a real close-up look by itself, but I'm really pleased with how it came out. This one came out real nice. So once again, I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned for a close-up shot of this pen by itself without all my fuzzies in the way. And until next time, be creative, be thoughtful, and be safe.